Okay. So welcome to our 2024 Ask NPSMA presentation series. Today, we will be talking about finding or amplifying the voice of your PSM program. So a few things first. Remember that this November 6th to 9th in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, we have our 2024 National Conference and Workshop. The title is Building a STEM Master's Program Community with the NPSMA. And you can see at the bottom left here, there is a link for more information. Does anybody here, maybe Tim, do you want to say anything about the latest with the planning for the workshop?
I actually can't because I missed the meeting last week. So trying to scroll through. I don't know if we have anybody. Oh, Jerry's here. Jerry, would you like to comment?
Sure. Thank you, Marcel and Tim. So just briefly, we are in the process of assembling a very exciting program that will, as the title reflects, emphasizes the growth and expansion of the NPSMA to be more inclusive of all master STEM programs. And so we are looking for a very rewarding workshop series included in the conference that will deal with the evolution of the NPSMA. Will be an opportunity to share best practices and growth opportunities with those programs that traditionally have been part of the NPSMA, but also those who will attend both locally, regionally, and nationally, who represent MS STEM programs that perhaps had not been previously part of the PSM movement. And that will be a great opportunity to highlight the benefits of the PSM nature of programs in support of our students and their future careers. So we hope to be beginning to post the preliminary program shortly. So please do keep an eye on the website. We certainly are very excited to be welcoming colleagues to Philadelphia. The meeting is in a beautiful central downtown location right around the corner from historic City Hall. And so there'll be much to do in addition to all things PSM. So look forward to seeing everybody there.
Hey, can I just ask a question? I know that you all were working on a potential flyer to be used by professional science masters program directors to potentially send information about this out to other programs at their universities. So I wanted to kind of include the 12 engineering programs at Rice that we have as professional engineering master's programs, and I wanted to send them something. So if you have a template, it would be great if you could send that out.
Thank you, and we'll be sure to we'll work through the national office and with Derek to make sure that not only NPSMA members are apprised as we move ahead, but we'll certainly have material for us all to share more broadly with the MS STEM community. But that's great to know, and we certainly welcome everybody to join us. So thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Jerry. And there we go. Okay, so a couple other things to keep current in the PSM world. If you aren't signed up, I encourage you to sign up for our newsletter, which is delivered to email. And for all of these things, by the way, I will put my email address in the comments so you can reach out to me about any of these things. We encourage the sharing of best practices in our innovator. So this is our peer-reviewed e-publication. And we also have opportunities to feature your PSM alumni and graduates in our chronicle. Also, if you are interested in volunteering for any NPSMA committee work, we are more than happy to have you. We would love to have you. So again, please reach out to, well, any board member, but also me, as I'll put my email address in the comments. Some additional membership benefits. So if you're not a member of the NPSMA, we encourage you to join. We have reduced rates for our national meeting. We have presentation opportunities for PSM students at the conference. We also maintain a close relationship with Council of Graduate Schools, which can result in presentation and grant opportunities. And case in point, we have our monthly Ask NPSMA webinars where all different types of PSM related topics are discussed. And in the past, we have had different virtual events like virtual recruitment fairs. These Ask NPSMAs you can find on our YouTube page. And also we have these other footprints on social media. So I encourage you to follow us or like us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn. With that being said, we are excited to have Michelle Chernikoff here to talk with us about finding or amplifying your voice of your PSM program. She is coming from Florida International University. And Michelle, I will kick it over to you now. I think yes. Okay, perfect.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here and to talk about finding the amplifying voice of your PSM program, because it's a unique degree to market and to talk about. And some things I have found through this case study that we'll present at the end are universal truths, I feel, that we can all admire and acquire from each other, and we can learn from each other about how better to not only explain to potential students what the PSM can do for them, but then sometimes also the potential employers of why it's beneficial to have a student with this kind of degree. So a little bit about me, like Marcel said, I'm Michelle Chernikoff. I spent my beginning of my career in the newsroom. I was a newsroom producer. Weekend overnights in my early 20s was just really, really fun. So after not making it to the Dan Rather level, I left and I went into the communication field to be on the other side of the marketing aspect. So that allowed me to tailor what I was pitching out to the media in a way that I knew was going to be captivating, because I've been in the chair to have to pick those stories. I went around to a couple different agencies, a couple different organizations, and I ended up at a organization. They cut off their marketing team. That was me, and I got laid off for about 6 months. So I spent that time watching the far superior Law and Order SVU, which then made me feel like, well, by now I know how to solve a crime and I know how to talk and communicate. So when this job came up to be in communications at what was then the National Forensic Science Technology Center, I was like, well, duh, I'm your girl. I got it. And I've been here for 10 years this summer. So it's been a wild ride, not only just to go from an independent nonprofit as we were with the National Forensic Science Technology Center, but now we are a part of FIU as the Global Forensic and Justice Center. So we've had to usher in not only an understanding of my part of the academic world, but maintain and grow our other services and offerings. And that comes from this department. So all of our communication efforts, events, they all go through me, our art director, and our video producer. So we're quite a small team, but we are able to accomplish a whole lot. So I put this easy button here because there really is no easy button when it comes to marketing. And I don't care what you're marketing. At this point, you can be marketing a, Kleenex, and everyone knows what it does and everyone has a purpose, but you still have to come up with a new, fun, invigorating way to captivate the audience. So there's never an easy button when it comes to marketing. And I put this on here because if you're up against a wall, if you're finding it that it's difficult, it's not you. Just always remember that mantra. It's not me. It just really is this hard, because the only thing consistent in marketing is that it changes. Your audience is going to change. The way that the algorithms on social media take in your content and spread it out to potential audience members, that is a daily change that, it takes people just every day posting and trying to find something that will work and stick. So it's nothing that you can just set and forget. There's nothing slow cooker about marketing, especially when it comes to something as vital as needing people to apply, understand, and use the degree that you're marketing in. So we're going to talk a little bit about what marketing does, what they, your students, say, how to find your voice from theirs. And then we're going to talk about some of the rankings and how to amplify and utilize your university's rankings. So we're going to look at the three folds of kind of marketing. Again, what it does, why it's important, why should you care? I know some of you are either former practitioners or practitioners still that are assisting with the program. And so you may not come from a marketing background. And so understanding this arm of it and understanding kind of like and thinking of it in different terms, a different way, what engaged you in the career, that might be something helpful to kind of go back and question when you're having these conversations with your marketing communication team within your school or within your college. Again, finding the student voice. That's going to be very crucial for this degree because you're not going to be going on a student that's, you know, gone from their bachelor's to their master's and now they're onto their doctorate in the traditional 8-year trajectory. You're going to be finding a student that took a break and then have a career, they have a career, and now they're having to come back, and you're going to want to tell them other people are doing it and other people are dedicated and other people have these hardships, but it's possible. And it can't just be you saying that. Just, you know, think of yourself as a teenager, what your parents said to you didn't matter, right? You have to get it from a peer. So you need their students to communicate to other potential students. And that's really, really powerful when it comes to marketing the PSM. And rankings are so important because it really ties in that it's that there's power behind it, that there's a strong name behind it. And for us in forensic science, we don't have a US World and News Report ranking. There probably will never be a forensic science ranking in the US World and News Report. But what we can do is find the rankings within that Florida International University has and expand and really utilize those in a strong sense. So things like ROI, right? This is, you put 18 months in, you invest your money, and you're going to get a higher ranking job, a higher pay. You're going to get that promotion because we have statistical data within all FIU graduates that say that. So having those kinds of rankings behind your message just really strengthens that this isn't just a new program floating out there. You know, it's backed and it's anchored by this very strong institution that has third party saying that it's as great as you're wanting it to be. So I fell into this trap. I think a lot of people fall into this trap. It's very easy to explain what a PSM isn't, right? I don't know if you found yourself that, if you've thought about it, I'm like, well, it's not really the traditional master's degree because you don't really focus on research. You're not really doing this, and you're focusing more on amplifying and the negative, what it isn't doing. What we need to switch and focus on is what it is, what it does, and the benefit that's unique to the PSM program. So we've done a few things with this, and that includes a very creatively titled, if I do say so myself, what is a PSM? And I know that's not going to win any awards in the title category, but it's very direct because we're telling people this is what a PSM is. We do slightly address the elephant in the room that, you know, it's not your degree. It's not your traditional research degree, but we focus very heavily on what it is and the benefits of it. I'm going to play a little clip for you and you'll see a familiar face, Dr. Max Hauk.
Science Masters, or PSM, is an academic structure, a degree structure that was recommended by the National Academies of Science. And what it does is it offers graduate science credits along with graduate courses in other skills or other topics that will advance somebody in a STEM career. Here at FIU, the Professional Science Masters Forensic Series has 2 tracks. One of them, the Forensic Management track, offers advanced science classes in forensic chemistry, forensic biology, crime scene, that sort of thing, and public administration classes.
So it goes on. If we have it on our YouTube page, it's about a minute long. We're not going to play the whole clip now, but it's very quick. It's very succinct. And we do address what it's not, because we have to answer that question. That's an FAQ. I'm sure everyone is like, what's the difference between this and your other master's degree? But we right off the bat, say what it is. And very strongly say that this is a benefit because it marries these kind of two worlds of science and business for us. With this, sometimes you're going to get into this identity crisis. And the way that I like to think about it is the way that Pepsi and Coke feud. I'm a Diet Coke drinker when I do have a soda. So I have a clear winner of which one wins the Cola Wars. But you're not going to find that Pepsi or Coke is saying, well, we're not Pepsi, we're better. You know, like they're going to focus on their own strong suits. They're going to focus on what brings them to the table and why they are the superior one. Excuse me. So you kind of sometimes have to consider it in a brand war with your other degree programs. You obviously have to play nice in the sandbox. You know, it's not an actual all-out war, but this is something where sometimes you may be competing with a student, or you may be enticing a student not to go back for their traditional master's, but that the PSM is a better fit for where they are and where their career trajectory is going to go. So you need to be working on like who needs the PSM more. Address the negative, that's fine, but make sure that most of your marketing, most of your tone is leaning into the positives. You're having more benefits than what it's not. And another way to do this is to get your students to talk about it. And so we have one of our students who was from this last cohort, Amy Rojas, and she was a DNA leader in Panama. We were able to work with the Department of State and have several of their forensic science students come in, be a part of our PSM program, which really did a multitude of things, not only highlighting that we have international students, that we have working students, that you can do it on your time, in your room, you know, at your own leisure. But it was really, we're not telling them. We're letting the students do the telling.
I would like to thank all the people who make possible our participation in this academic program, and all the people in Global Forensic and Justice Center for being part of this experience for all of us, and give us the opportunity to share the knowledge with us, because this gave us a big opportunity to evolve as a laboratory and to get more confidence in our work. I would like to.
So when you let them tell their story, they're really telling yours. This was a great time. When I had the interview with Amy, it was really inspiring to hear how the PSM, how she was honored to be able to be in the program, how much she thought that it was going to benefit her. And then it was interesting to hear that, you know, this was something where she gets to have this higher education and then benefit directly her laboratory, because now she can be a stronger leader. Now she has these skills that will take the work that we have done separately to train their labs to be ISO, ISO certified. And now I'm completely blanking on the certification that we help them get, the accreditation that we help them get. We help their lab get accredited. We did all this work, and now we've made their leaders even stronger because they have this foundational information that's universal and universally true, that sound science is sound science. So now we're going to go on to rankings, and this is just something we've kind of had to figure it out as we go, because like I said in the beginning, forensic science doesn't have a degree, a rank. It just doesn't. There are smaller ones they have, but there's no big, US World and News Report ranking. So what we can do is focus on how the university is ranked and then tie the program within that. So this is, that we're incorporating the message. And I was thinking about this weekend as I was thinking about this presentation. And I think this has always been important to me because as an elder millennial, it was really honed into me when I was going through university that, and I think that was because we had the for-profit universities at the time those were the only ones that were online. And, and you had this like cultural shift where it was like, that's not a real degree if you don't actually go to school. Thankfully, I think one of the good things that came from the pandemic is a complete shift in that mindset, even for elder millennials like myself, where I'm like, yeah, don't make me drive to campus and park. No, I just want to log in and do it on my own. So having the ranking from your higher education institution, that's going to be really important because you're anchoring it to that known school. You're anchoring it to like, this is a quote unquote real university, right? And you're going to kind of say that like, you're not getting duped into anything. This is a valuable education that you're getting. And we have these numbers and rankings to get. And I just had to do this one because it's just, sometimes the best you're going to get is your institution ranking. For us, like I said, we really like the ROI one because we are a relatively inexpensive PSM program. And in our survey of our alumni, we've actually found that they get a really strong ROI where most of them are getting a raise of, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 after they receive their degree. So we are getting that strong feedback from them. I personally would like a little bit more feedback from the students before we start publishing those numbers because I know that statistics can make you say whatever you want them to say. Just take a look at, the highest paid UNC geology graduates. Their medium is like 46 million because Michael Jordan graduated with a graduate degree, a degree in the geology program. So numbers can say what you want to say, right? But it is promising that at least in the small amount that we do have these promising numbers that like eventually we'll be able to have a stronger statistical set for those. And, again, we're not talking to the traditional student because this is called professional science masters. So we're targeting the professional students. And again, they know, right? They're not just going to go, well, I'm already going to the university and this is the one that my professor said to go, or however you get your doctorate degree, however you make that decision, you're doing it because you've done your research and you decide like, I want this degree because I have this. And then this is the reason why is because they are a really great institution and I'm getting that quality assurance from there. Lastly, I do want to talk about the website. The website sometimes is like it can be a catch-all. It can be, I don't know what to put on it, so I'm going to put everything on it. And it kind of needs to be, it needs to be thoughtful. I like to view websites as a living document where you should have a conversation pretty regularly with your marketing communication team, wherever they lie within your school or college, of, this needs to be updated. This person, this program manager now has a different title, this email, this website, all of these things have changed. Whatever needs to be updated should be updated fairly regularly. I also really like to give students an action. There needs to be something on your website where you're either collecting data, you're putting something under a paywall, like what you'll see that UNC does for their program. So you're collecting warm leads. We have a program management system called monday.com. We use it for everything. And Lynn, our program administrator, is on here and she can probably say in the chat how much we use Monday. It is for everything across the board for almost every project that we have in our department. And we're able to create forms, embed them on our website. And then on the back end, we can see, okay, this person has just requested information from us. We can send an email. We can track when they have applied, if they've been accepted, and track their progress all the way through. And it gives us, like I said, a warm lead because it's so much easier to contact someone who's already interested than to kind of just throw out the Skittles and hope someone catches a red one. So now we're going to go into the case study, and that was one of the agreements that we had about, you know, making this different and what we can do. And so I was able to talk with the Master of Professional Science and Regulatory Science at UNC Chapel Hill. And as a UNC Charlotte grad, I was kind of excited to like get back into the system and, you know, talk with them about it. And what I also really liked is the fact that, like, with this degree program, we're all in different degrees. We're not really stealing students, so we can admire and acquire what other programs are doing quite easily, because we're effectively marketing different degrees, even though it is a PSM. One thing that is interesting to note about this particular program, it is brand new. Even on the back end, I know that it doesn't feel that way because you probably spent a year or two, maybe even more, making sure that it goes to the Board of Trustees, goes to the Board of Governors, gets all of that approval done. But it's in the first year of actually accepting the cohort. So they're actually in the middle of the infancy of the first program, which is fun to get at the beginning of a program to say, you're good here, let's make it here. Let's bump it up and try to get your goals accomplished. One of their goals was to just increase student interest and increase the international student interest as well, in particular. So some of the things that they do is they host regular virtual open houses. I love a good virtual open house because, again, you are saying this is an online degree, this is a virtual degree, this is something you can do on time. We're meeting you in the same way that we're going to be teaching you. So I think if you're not doing virtual open houses, you're really missing out on talking to the actual students when you're needing, you know, that you're trying to reach out to. They do a great job of focusing on their online benefit. One of the things that they actually discussed in their open house, which was unique, is they have a part-time and full-time offering, and you can switch between the two. So if you are full-time, realize that's too much for your work schedule, you are able to go down to the part-time. So I liked that. I thought that was a really good key point that they should drive home. Maybe not out front, because I know that's probably a lot of extra paperwork that no one on their admin side wants to do. But it gives the students reassurance that, you know, this really will honestly work in their schedule. They are starting and working on their relationship with their marketing communications team, which I greatly appreciate. When I talked to Patricia on Friday to go over some of the things that I saw when I was in their open house and, you know, going through their website and everything, you know, we uncovered some things that she didn't realize that she probably had access to at UNC. So it's always a good time to bug your marketing team. We like that. It keeps us having a paycheck every 2 weeks. It's way easier for me to say, okay, I can't use that right now, than it is for me to have to bug you all the time for content. So I would rather you give me way too much and then me have to figure it out than it be something where I'm just begging you to give me something to post on LinkedIn this week. Please, pretty please. Thank you very much. So I really liked the way that they have this on their website. They show things by the numbers. So again, right as we were talking about, they lean into their, you know, their school's ranking, their master's degree, their, you know, master's of professional science may not be ranked, particularly because it's very brand new, but they are saying that the school of pharmacy is number one and their house underneath there. I think this is a perfect way to do this. I also, like, we always say 18 months or 16 months as the way that we finish our degree program. I personally really like the way that they do it semesters. It's the same amount of time, you know, but this shows, to me, that's less time because it's a less number, you know. So finding different ways to do that. I know it's the same, but you just never know, right? You can play around. If something isn't working, it's a living document. You can make the number say what you need it to say. You know, and then again, pushing that it's online. The fewer things that you have to send someone out to, the better. So if you can have something like this webinar registration button that's embedded on their website, and someone goes to their website and says, yes, I do want to learn more, and they don't have to go to another website to register to get something else, the better. So again, talk to your communications team, figure out what's available so that you have the fewer amount of clicks and you're not having people leave the website to get information. Because the more times that they have to click out and click around, you're going to lose them. People are very lazy when they're looking for information. Unless you're looking for, you know, conspiracy theories on Kate Middleton. Other than that, people are quite lazy in getting their information. They also have something very similar to what we have on their requesting the information. So this is their soft paywall. You have to put information in order to get the brochure. I really like this because they get the warm leads and I get the information that I'm looking for. I get an immediate PDF download that I can get. This is just, again, really beneficial, a way for you to collect the information, have a way to market to those people. Hey, have you gone to our website? Have you gone to our webinar? You know, the deadline's coming up. All the information that you need to send out is right there. So some of the things that we talked about on the improvement is when I went to their open house, they had the dean of their college, and he did a fantastic job really selling the School of Pharmacy as a whole. But it was about 20 minutes in until we got to talking about the master's science, professional master science. And so that was a really long time before I got to the point of like why I'm there. We talked about toning that down, tampering that down, because you are focusing then, even though you're talking about all great things and all of the wonderful accolades and the great things are, what is important to the student that you're talking to. And, you know, the certificate and the bachelor's degree, that may not be where you need to have that information. You know, some of the other resources that were in the university or within the college, that's really great because they have access to that. Those are things that you can keep. So the more time that you kind of spend talking about everything else, the less time that you're getting someone to understand what it is. We focus on really having some key messages, really talking with their communication and marketing team, again, to just say, this is what we want someone to walk away from the program with. And I told them really one of the things that they could focus on is something that the dean said in the opening, is that this degree helps the pharmacist do their job. It's the gap between the two people on the counter. It makes it happen. And that's just really strong because it gives the so what, right? It answers the why do I need this degree? Why does this matter? And it's because it makes that functional. It makes this very important career path something that is workable for everyone on both sides of that pharmacy counter. Again, I really liked the leaning into their full-time, part-time, whether that's just 1 or 2 social media posts, or, you know, just a way to say that this is how it, like, we're not just saying it works into your schedule. You know, we are actively making it to where, you know, we will help you make it work into your schedule. We talked about the foundations and fundamentals. That's what this degree program is. And even though it's regulatory science, when I think regulations, I'm like, well, that changes, right? From state to state, from country to country, you know, from pharmacy to pharmacy, those all, that doesn't seem like a universal word. But what instead they can focus on is what is universal. Compliance is compliance. And that's what's going to make it work for those international students, is the focusing on that. It doesn't really matter in that kind of scheme for the degree what the actual regulatory practice says. What matters is how you're able to read it, apply it, and comply with it. And then because they're so new, they obviously don't have like graduates to talk, with yet. So we talked about adding marketing questions to their end of year surveys, end of semester surveys. What was the most impactful part? What are you looking forward to? Would you recommend this to a colleague or a peer? Because then again, if you're using that marketing language in the question, they're most likely going to answer the question in a way that will make you able to use it in your marketing and communication outreach. And also adding it to the end of your surveys, it's one less thing for you. It's one less thing for your students. It's one less thing for your marketing communications team. If you can customize that and add that little question, and then whatever legalese that you need to add that your university, has you add for, like, this answer may be used for marketing purposes. I encourage you to do that, because then it's really a fail-safe way to get that information. So gathering of student voices, working with the international, that's again just how they're going to grow the way that they're going to capture the students, because the students are telling that story for them. And so I'm really excited to see how they're able to implement these things, how they're able to grow the student voices. She said that they had a student in there now who was interested in helping, maybe joining some of the virtual webinars. So we talked about, there's another organization that I work with within the university for their open houses. They actually send the professors into a breakout room and have a panel of students talk to the potential students. So they give their stories. What was it like? How did you, manage everything? And this is for a tradition, like a doctorate degree. So it is a slightly different thing, but I think the concept could work if you have a student base, if you have a couple of professionals who can be a virtual panel of sorts to talk about things candidly. I'm in the room, and then they send the professors away. And I think it works really fantastically. I think it's a great way. Again, other people are talking about it, and it's not you, the suit, right, explaining what's going on. It's the peer-to-peer communication, which is an important aspect, particularly for this degree. And so often, one of these things is not like the other when it comes to our degree programs. So as much as we want to fit in, we don't, and that's good, right? The PSM doesn't always fit in with the other marketing, the ways that we market the other programs. But if you focus on the specific situation that your degree is tailored to, in our case here at FIU, it's to build the forensic laboratory leaders. That's a very specific thing. It's taking that bench scientist who probably didn't take a business class, because I know I wouldn't have taken a business class if I was in a hard science, because you have so many other things to focus on to actually get your degree, to get to your job. But then you realize that in order to be the manager, in order to be the lab director, you have to know how to manage a budget. You have to know how to talk to city council. You have to know how to work with other departments within your county. And all of those things are things that are hard to learn on the job. It's not impossible, but it's easier if you have a concentrated effort that says, these things will help you set you up for success. And so that's what you can focus on, is the very tailored, specific direction for your PSM program. And again, find the universal truth, right? Compliance is compliance, science is science. And that stands every language, every border, every time that you walk into a lab or a situation. All of those things are going to be the same. Balancing a budget is balancing a budget. Simple as that. So if you find the universal truth of your degree, and also know that universally, the truth is it can be a little tricky to manage this degree and market it, because it is different from all the other degrees. Hopefully you'll find some solace in knowing that it's not just you. It just really is that hard sometimes. So thank you. I'm here to answer some questions, take your questions, chat about some things. My email is right here, mchernick@fiu.edu. You can also find me on our website, because I'm all over it. for the media contact or anything like that, I'm happy to chat about some of the things that we've done, some of the things that, you know, work for us. And, you know, kind of, I don't know, if you're bored one day and just really want to send an email out, I'll answer it.
Well, thank you so much, Michelle. This was a wonderful and very, very enlightening presentation. We really appreciate you doing this for us.
Of course, thank you.
So at this point, we have some time for some questions. So anybody from the group have any questions for Michelle?
So I
Tim?
have one question, being a brand new program that won't have any student testimonials. What would you suggest?
First, I would get your, whoever's the leader, whoever's the SME, and similar to how we had Dr. Hauk introduce the program, that's a low-hanging fruit. That's what I call, right? Those are going to be your evergreen pieces that you can have to explain the program, to explain what's going to happen, explain why it's beneficial. One of the other things that I talked about with UNC was if you're working on any potential interview or internship opportunities, you could get maybe a quote from one of those companies of like why a degree like that would be valuable in a potential candidate. So those are some of the ideas that you can kind of get with, you can explore, asking the basic question, what is this degree? That's
Okay.
that I think it should be a fairly standard, as much as that word can be used, kind of video or marketing kind of push at first, because that's going to be your first hurdle, right? Is explaining to potential students why this is the program that they need to select.
Okay.
Hey, Michelle, this is Dagmar. Have you lined up internship providers for your programs? Do you require an internship?
Lynn, do we require, I think we used to require,
No, we don't require internships for our program.
okay. I think we used to, but we don't anymore.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's one hard point because we do require internships, and there's more and more US companies, you know, that don't want to give internships to international students. So it's becoming harder and harder to place them or at least find opportunities.
And that's fair. And I think with one of the hurdles that we had was getting an intern within a working forensic laboratory, because that is it's very rare, if at all, that happens for any level, for a multitude of reasons. So we also had that pain point. I think that was one of the deciding factors of us eliminating that requirement within our particular program.
Thanks.
Terry's had her hand up for a bit. Terry?
Thanks. Hey, Michelle. So I have
Hello.
a question about the paywall, that action item that you can have prospective students fill out forms to be that warm body that you mentioned. And we actually have that. But my question to you is, since some of our programs here are wanting to do away with that, do you have data on the success of those forms? How many people actually visit the site versus filling out the forms? What would that look like?
We do have Google Analytics. I don't have any of our data under a paywall. So ours is a form, a contact us form.
Yep.
So I'm gonna head there right now. If you give me, yes, my internet is cooperating, so I should have this to you shortly.
While Michelle goes to that, we also send out a survey to all of our students as they graduate. And we encourage them to fill out the surveys towards the end of their program, not after they graduate. So that way we have multiple opportunities to remind them to take a survey to gather the information that we may need as they graduate.
So we implemented the contact us form in late 2022. So since then, we've had 63 people fill out the form and allowed for Lynn to email them, text them. We just now added an option for adding their phone number in, because Lynn has found, again, working through what works, not just doing everything Thanksgiving, because we've always had green bean casserole means we always have to have green bean casserole. I would rather ditch it if it doesn't work personally. So she has found that a lot more students want text messages. So we added that into the form. So paywall, I know, is a touchy subject if you're using it I would be in compliance with your university. I'm not going to die on the hill to keep the brochure under a paywall, but I would encourage some kind of contact form embedded if possible, especially if you can add a CAPTCHA or some kind of, robot device that says that you're, a real human, which Monday.com now has, which is why we embedded the form, because before it didn't have it. Now you can add a CAPTCHA to that. So now we're working with adding automations where when someone automatically gets the email, then they can get basically a welcome email from Lynn, with some standard FAQs. So it's, we're still playing with it, and it is a relatively new process for us as one of our marketing tools. But I would say 63 warm leads, and really no real heavy lifting. That's pretty significant.
We get good responses to ours, but other programs, like I said, they're not PSM programs, but they've been pushing back because they're professional programs, and their student base is just like ours. It's mostly working professionals, and they think that many of them won't actually click on that and give information out. So they want to free up that information. And I didn't know if you had research on the success versus just, like you said, throwing Skittles out there.
Yeah.
And seeing if anybody contacts you.
I mean, I think because the UNC one I thought was interesting because they do keep the brochure under that paywall. So in order to get the brochure, you have to, yes. And if people are using it, they're using it, right? It is working for you, even if it isn't universally working for other departments. So I could argue both cases, but I'm also for, if it's working, it's working, because you're kind of killing two birds with one stone. Having it under the paywall is because people aren't emailing you for it, and you're getting their email back so that you can, hey, we have an open house, the deadline's coming up, all of these emails can go out to someone, so that's the low quality data that I have on it.
Yeah. Thanks for your input.
Of course.
Other questions?
Just a quick one, Michelle. What kind of a budget does it take to have a decent marketing presence?
So we don't have a budget. And not like we have an unlimited budget. We don't have a budget. We just don't have a budget. Because most of our money does go to the sustainability of the project, of the degree, because it is a self-sustaining degree. We don't really get money from the university to house this. So if we run an ad, it's like a $500 ad. It's like you get a penny for it. So anything that we do comes organically from our social media channels, our mailing list from MailChimp. And we do kind of have the benefit of the built-in audience that we had when we were coming from that standalone nonprofit. So we have almost 20,000 people across all of our social media channels following all of our Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Our YouTube has more than 1 million minutes watched on it. So we have a healthy social media presence, which is definitely unique and benefits us in a way. And then we have 8,000 people on our mailing list. that we, can send things out to. So in that sense, we have 10 years of hard work of getting that and building that audience. And we're also unique, and we brought the professionals with us because we weren't a university. So it's not like we're just marketing to the alumni. We are building that. So in that case, it is a little unique, but we really don't run ads. We try to work with our online learning community because they could help us run ads, and they found it not even worth the ad buy to buy ads for the specific audience for our degree. So again, it's like, well, if I'm not going to get an ROI from spending that money, I'm just not going to do it. So not a lot, basically.
Thank you.
That's a way to answer your question. But it is possible to do things with not a lot of money if you can work with your marketing, program. We have, I was actually talking with Patricia on Friday about, they have a Canva. We have a Canva program that I use a lot. UNC has a Canva program. It's a graphic design thing, and it is very simple. If you can type text, you can use Canva. So if your marketing team can get you a template, then if you have a new date for a program or a booth or something like that, you can either make that graphic, send it over to your communications team, or if you're, if you want to put it on your own social media channels, however that works within, your policies of the university. There are things like that you can do that are probably already within your university to strengthen it. And again, I really suggest leaning into your marketing team, if at all possible.
Michelle, it's Stara.
Yeah,
Hi.
sorry. You put your hand up.
Sorry, Marcel, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh,
Michelle,
no, I
thanks-
was just saying your hand has been up for a while, so.
Sure. Michelle, thanks so much for your presentation.
Oh, thank you.
Many of our PSM programs do not have, let's say, a standalone independent marketing team. And when we are trying to, and I'm asking this question from personal experience and then just kind of in general, when we're trying to manage the content, up-to-date content, make sure it's appropriate for our audiences, and we are 1 or 2 people teams in addition to doing all of our other work. Sometimes I found that it's hard to manage that content across so many social media platforms. And it seems like it keeps, Facebook is good one day, and now we're talking about maybe pulling back on Facebook. Is there a sweet spot? Is there a way to say, can we be strategic about how we're posting content so that we don't feel like we have to be posting across 6 social media platforms 2 or 3 times a week, for example?
I wish there was an easy way to answer that. Because it's something that this is my job to market and to do this. And I'm still trying to figure out what that sweet spot is. And I've been doing this for 10 years within this position. I think the biggest headache is that the algorithms constantly change. So what may work one week doesn't necessarily stick and hold the next week. If I would suggest, if there are evergreen pieces, so working with your comms team of like, okay, if we can really concentrate in this in-between time or the summer or whatever kind of works for you, let's knock out 2 videos that we can always promote, in the spring semester as we try to recruit students for the June 1st deadline. What is a PSM? Why should you do it? What makes it different? Answering those questions. The more evergreen pieces that you can do are very beneficial, because then it's just, you can always rinse and reuse those. Because the last time I looked at these statistics, a tweet lived for about a minute, and then it was never seen again unless someone wanted to dig it up. So the chances of you posting even the same thing within the same week and it being the exact same person seeing it and it being like a repeat copy are probably slim to none on some of your channels. even the way LinkedIn is doing it is very aggravating to me because, you know, I know that if you just scroll on LinkedIn, it may be something from 3 weeks ago that you're just now seeing for the first time. So it's hard to find that sweet spot. And I know it's daunting. So I can definitely appreciate that, because as someone who is, I also have the PSM, I have our own symposium, I have our other events, external, internal, that we do, as well as work with forensic nursing, legal psychology. You know, I have a lot of other kind of clients within my role that I have to support. And sometimes I'm like, oh, ugh, I have to work on PSM. So I have to also feed myself, even though I'm asking you to feed me. So I get it. And it seems kind of counterintuitive in what I'm saying. So it's, if you can give them, I don't know if, try working with, you know, I don't know if setting up a biannual meeting twice a year. Okay, what do you need from me to get from this point to this point and this point to that point? And then give as much information as possible. I don't know if that would be a good starting point for you to, because then it's more manageable. Then you're only feeding them and they can work in their calendar. Because if you're not actually posting it, it really should be your communications team job to manage the calendar and that strategic plan. And so if you're just meeting with them to feed them that information and just say, coming up this quarter, coming up these next 6 months, we have these events, these milestones, you know, the anniversary of the first graduates, whatever it is, then it should be their job to follow that up and put it on their own calendar. Does that help or give some kind of maybe starting point?
Yeah, it really does. I really, really appreciate your point about creating solid foundational evergreen content. I think, I mean, I didn't grow up with social media, so I think sometimes my generation, the push is to create innovative content that is always meeting the demands of our 21-year-old generation. And I don't think that we can keep up with that, especially if our PSM programs do not have a standalone communications team or an external communications team. So I really appreciate the point
Lynn's
about
does,
having,
and I'm still not able to put out, you know, every TikTok, you know, challenge and trend that comes up
Sure.
for the PSM. So I can validate that it feels like you, especially with social media, you constantly are having to keep up, constantly have to put something out because the attention span is so quick, the trends are so quick, something like that. But feel free to open that dialogue with your comms team of either like, here's what we have coming up. You know, I saw this in, maybe it's an article, right? Maybe there's something about, you know, in our case, if there was something about, you know, a lack of applicants for forensic science leaders, right? Let's just, okay, well then that should be something that I should post as the comms team, or if Lynn sees it, she can send it to me and say, this can be something that we tie into the message of like why the PSM is needed, you know, to fill this gap. So if you see something that's timely, you may not be able to hop on a great trend in video, but it could be still something that you do in a way that still gets the message across in a meaningful way.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Michelle. We went we're a little bit over time, so I think it's time to wrap up. But again, this was a wonderful presentation, and it was very, very enlightening, and I certainly learned a lot. So I really appreciate you doing this for us.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It's not very often that the comms person gets to be the one communicating it. So it feels a little weird, even though I know it's in my title, but I enjoyed it, and you guys had wonderful questions, so I appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much.
Right. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you, Marcel.
Thank you.